here, writing for Jesus. All right, so new year 2024, can't believe it. I am just feeling really excited for the new year, and actually wrote down my stats and all the books I read in 2023. I've never done that before, but I just felt really inspired. I've been watching Krista, Books and Jams, and Katie with Paperbacks and Ponytails, and it just inspired me to kind of do my own little stats for this year. So yeah, let's just jump right in. Okay, so these are all the books that I read for 2023, and I color coded it where pink stood for an Amish, and orange stood for romantic suspense, and stuff like that. Okay, so I broke it down by genre. So for the year of 2023, I read 12 novelizations or kind of movie books, 4 Amish, 10 middle grade, 4 romantic suspense, 3 mysteries, 17 books of the Bible, 2 biblical fiction, 3 historical fiction, 4 contemporary romance, 3 nonfiction, Christian nonfiction. Pretty much all my reads are Christian fiction or nonfiction. Everything is Christian. Where am I? 2 general fiction, 2 sci-fi, and had 16 DNFs, and those were a variety of genres. I had a total of 46 fiction books that I read. I read 17 books of the Bible, 3 nonfiction, and 16 DNFs. So all of that together is 82 books. So super happy with that. So books read and completed, I read 66. Okay, so I'm just gonna name all the books that I read for 2023, and then I will break it down and tell y'all which ones were my favorite, which ones were my worst, my least favorite. So, and a couple of these, I might have read them in 2022, December, but they are on my channel. It's when I first started, and I had my recent reads, number 1. So I'm just going to include them in here because they're on my channel, and that's when I really started getting into reading and all that stuff. So, okay, Attack of the Clones by R.A. Salvatore, Samson by Eric Wilson, The Postcard and the Crossroad by Beverly Lewis, Restart by Gordon Corman, Sins of the Past by Dee Henderson, Lynette Eason, and Danny Petrie. Oh, and then books of the Bible, I read Ruth, Romans, and then Jeremiah through the rest of the Old Testament. So Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi. And I didn't talk about Malachi in my last recent reads. I was saving it for my next one, so that'll be in recent reads number 11. The Nativity Story by Angela Hunt, The Cost of Betrayal, again by Dee Henderson, Lynette Eason, and Danny Petrie, The Rising Hope by Chuck Swindoll, Pirates of the Caribbean, From the Ride to the Movies, We'll Always Have Each Other, Frozen, Phantoms of Arendelle, The Locket by Richard Paul Evans, Counted with the Stars by Connellan Cassette, Flights of Fancy by Jen Turano, Maleficent 2, Mistress of Evil by Elizabeth Rudnick, The Christmas Box by Richard Paul Evans, On His Own, Aquaman, junior novelization, my books, A Change in the Winds, and Eye of the Storm by Nikki Mulatto, Akilah and the Bee, Submerged by Danny Petrie, How I Survived 5th Grade, Little Mermaid, the full film script, The Dancing Master by Julie Klassen, The Ark, the Reed, and the Fire Cloud by Jenny Coate, The Weeping Chamber, Aggie Morton, The Body Under the Piano by Martha Jocelyn, Recruits by Thomas Locke, Lethal Legacy by Irene Hannon, The Last Song by Nicholas Sparks, Forgiving Jar by Wanda E. Brunstetter, Catching Christmas by Terry Blackstock, Tell Me the Stories of Jesus, Dreamer, Schemer, and the Robe by Jenny O. Coate, In Search of a Prince by Tony Shiloh, Camp Rock novelization, Amelia Bedelia. Kidnapped, my short story, my Star Wars short story. With Every Breath by Elizabeth Camden. Numbers That Preach by Troy Brewer. The Hawaiian Quilt by Wanda E. Brunstetter. Off the Chain by Janice Thompson. Love and a Little White Lie by Tammy L. Gray. The Extraordinary Death of Mrs. Kipp by Sarah Brunsfold. And 3 Junie B. Jones books, First Grader at Last, Boss of Lunch, and Toothless Wonder. Toothless Wonder I did not have in my recent reads, number 10. That will be in number 11. Okay, so that is that. First, let's talk about my 2024 goals. I didn't have any goals for 2023, so okay. I need y'all to keep me accountable. I just talked to my parents, and I asked them to keep me accountable. I want to stop buying books for 2024. So I really want to focus on actually reading the books that I buy. There's no point in me buying all these books when I have 400 books in my house on my TBR. Like, seriously, I have like 450 books, and probably 400 of them are on my TBR, which actually, that'd be a fun video. I'm going to do that. I'm going to count and see how many books that I have read of my own, like TBR, like my shelf. I do have a Goodreads account, but I never use it. I don't like the way it's set up. It's really confusing, and I just don't see a point in it, so I don't use my Goodreads account. But just here on YouTube is where I keep my stats. So yeah, 2024, I don't want to buy any more books. I am going to have a book haul coming up, but they were before I made this decision. So yeah, I actually took the Thrift Books app off my phone. I uninstalled it. So my next 2024 goal is to read the books on my shelf. And then non-bookish related goals, I want to write more. I've wrote a couple poems recently. That's been really fun. I've been feeling really inspired from the movies that I've seen. So I do want to kind of focus on just kind of writing and just kind of seeing what I want to work on, and just using my time more creatively and try to not be on my phone so much. So I want to work on that. I want to write more letters to people. I want to keep in touch, and I want to donate more to some of these ministries. They're doing some really good stuff, and if I can find the links and stuff, I'll link them down in the description if you want to check it out. Oh, and real quick, I'd like to show you the beginning of my 2024 reading journal. So let's take a look. So here's my reading journal. This is the one that I have right now that I did for 2023. Oh, it used to be a recipe book. Not really good at cooking, but I did write down a couple recipes. Then it became like my dream book, where I would write down my favorite dreams that I've had. For some of 2022 and then all of 2023, I wrote down the title of the book, the star rating I gave it, and then a little small review. And some of it is kind of mixed up because I was trying to remember like all the books I've read, like from school and all that kind of stuff. So all these books I have mentioned in one video or another on my channel. Then I have this one. I got this for, I think, my birthday last year. I love it. It is so cool. It's just different verses, and I really like that. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. There we go. So then it has a little like space for cards here, so I don't know what I'll do with that. But I just did this. So I drew 2024 reading journal, drew some books on some shelves and a little plant, and then put some stickers. So then that's the intro page, and then here I think for 2024 I'll actually use this one only, and so I'll do write down my review, write down the books that I read, star rating, and then I have this page. I have some little kitties on the shelves and books and some stickers. I'll probably put some more stuff up here, and then here on these pages I might try to draw the shelves and then draw books and write down the titles of the books that I've read on the books. I saw Katie from Paperbacks and Ponytails to do this, and it looks so cool. I love that. So I'll have it visually here, the bookshelves, all the books that I've read, and then on here I will write down the review, like my little short summary of it, what I thought of the book. And then here in this little packet, I have all my goals and stats for 2023. I wanted to keep it, so yeah, I just stuck them here in this little pouch. Okay, so let's talk about the 7 worst books that I read of 2023 and my 16 DNFs. So, worst reads, the only 2 that I have that are in this category, The Forgiving Jar. This one was just very slow, nothing was happening. The characters all acted like they were 12 years old. Very slow, I said that already. Just really boring. But the ending was good, and I really liked the one hymn that she talked about in here, and I just felt like keeping it. So I still had it. And then In Search of a Prince. I loved the faith content in this book. It started out so promising, and then it just went downhill, and the climax was just very disappointing, and it came across kind of juvenile. So it really just brought it down for me to 3 stars. So it was just disappointing, but still well written, everything else about it. Now, I don't own any of these. Submerged by Dani Petrie. 2.5 stars. It was just, it felt kind of dirty for a Christian fiction, some of the stuff they would say, and it was really confusing, and it was boring, like the investigative stuff. Like, it just was over my head. It was things that I was not interested in and I didn't care about. The action scenes were very choppy and jerky, and I really couldn't tell what was going on. Catching Christmas. Very, very disappointed. I loved it at the beginning. It was like a 5-star read, incredibly well written, and then it just went downhill. I hit the halfway point, and it went downhill, and had a very random kind of romance in the end. I mean, halfway through, they did not know each other. Like, it just really bothered me how they just got together so fast, and I'm like, you don't know each other. It just felt kind of forced. The character arcs were very wonky, just like not a nice circle, and some of the in between the line messages I didn't agree with. The Hawaiian Quilt by Wanda E. Brunstetter. Probably the worst book I've ever read in my whole life. It was awful. I have a whole reading vlog on this book. It was terrible. Flights of Fancy by Jen Turano. The whole middle was just like, had this weird, like, they're trying to be funny, like, she kept trying to like make us laugh, and I was like, this isn't funny, this is just really silly. I didn't like the writing style. It was very telly. It was just boring. So I skipped a lot of the middle of the book, but I enjoyed the beginning and the end. So The Christmas Box by Richard Paul Evans. This was just disappointing. It was very, very underwhelming. I thought it was going to be incredible like his other books, and it just didn't really do anything for me. Okay, and the 16 DNFs. Miles from Where We Started. No, stressful. Splintered, creepy. The Saddlemaker's Son, boring. Left Behind, A Boy Called Bat, stressful. Oath of the Brotherhood, confusing. My Utmost for His Highest, actually, this was really good, and then I just felt kind of dumb reading it because I was not understanding what he was talking about. So, yeah, I was like, let me give this to some smarter person. Before You Meet Prince Charming, this was really sweet. It just felt like it was for a younger reader, so I went ahead and DNF'd it and got rid of it. Alone, stressful. Rover Story, very, very choppy. Very short sentences. Inside Out and Back Again, boring. Creatures Great and Small, so boring. I couldn't get through the first paragraph. Rules of Murder, dark. Too much on the physicality of the romance, and kind of boring and slow and confusing. I did try though. That one I really did try to get through. The Thief of Blackfriars Lane, just not for me. Mountain of Mystery and the sequel, No One is Safe, boring. slow. Getting to the end here, last part of the video, the favorite reads of 2023. First, I have here some honorable mentions. With Every Breath by Elizabeth Camden. This was so refreshing. Had a lot of cool medical stuff in here. They're trying to find a cure for tuberculosis. At first you think it's gonna be like an enemies to lovers. Kind of is that trope, but she did it so well. I usually can't stand that trope, but it was really well done, and this one, really, really enjoyed it. It was very, very good. It was very refreshing. Then Sins of the Past by Dee Henderson, Danny Petrie, and Lynette Eason. First story got 5 stars. I loved it. Looking back on it, I might drop it down to like 4.5 stars because some of it was kind of unbelievable and kind of like, what? But I really enjoyed it, especially at the time. Second story got 2 stars. Third story got 4 stars. Overall, I would give the book a 4-star rating. It was really enjoyable. Don't like the cover, but enjoyed the book. Then this one, the second story, Attack of the Clones by R.A. Salvatore. Super, super good. Really got inside Anakin's head. I gave it 5 stars, but it's not really like sticking with me like other novelizations that I've given 5 stars to. So I put it on the honorable mentions list. Really good story. This one is not really a novel. It's the full film script of Little Mermaid. I gave this 5 stars when I read it. It is still 5 stars, but I just put it on the honorable mentions because it's not a fiction book, and I didn't read every single thing. I didn't see every single page, but I did look at a lot of it, and it was so cool. I'm so into movies. It's just so cool to see all this stuff. I had to put this on the honorable mentions. This only got like 3.75 stars, but it stuck with me. I loved this story. Like, the idea was so good about these twin boys fighting aliens. The execution of the whole plot was not super well done. Didn't go the way I thought it would. But there's things in here that I loved, and so it's here on the honorable mentions. On to my favorites. Restart, 5 stars. Bully gets amnesia and changes, and it was so good. It was so satisfying. The ending, the way everything wrapped up, I was like, yes! I was like really into it. I was really happy with it. This one only got 4.5 stars, but it was so nostalgic. I used to read this book all the time when I was in school. I had to read it for a book report, and I loved it. I read it again this year, and it was so good. And it was so nostalgic, and he's so sweet, such a gentleman, like such a good young man, like so good. Like, really good values, really good morals in this book. Counted with stars, yay! My first biblical fiction that I finished, I think. The other ones I DNF'd, like from years prior. This one was so solid, 5 stars. Like, I love Egypt, and I loved her story about a slave, like, joining the Hebrews in the Exodus, and seeing her, she was like a princess, like she was really rich, and then seeing her have to go down to be a slave, an Egyptian slave, and then join the Hebrews and wander around the desert, like seeing her lifestyle change so much. Like, it was so well done, really well researched, so well written, like beautiful. And look at that cover. Gorgeous. Love it. Really good faith content. I love the way they talked about music in there. Really cool. Another Egypt book, a middle grade. So good. The Dreamer, Schemer, and the Robe, about these animals helping Joseph complete his mission. Loved this story. It kind of reminded me of how I used to write when I was younger. Some of the feelings that I felt, like it just felt so happy and lighthearted and full of faith. Like, I loved it. It was so good. So inspiring. Samson, another novelization that this is probably my favorite novelization of all time. So good, so well written, in first person, present tense. Love it. And they did a lot of scenes from Rala's perspective, who is the Philistine prince, who is my favorite character. Really awesome. Loved it. Irene Hannon, Lethal Legacy. This was a reread. It had been years since I had read it. I loved it. The research, all the cop stuff, all the like investigating that they would do. I was like, this is so neat. This is so cool. Like, love it and love the story. Like, the girl's dad, and I think he committed suicide, and she's like, no, my dad would never commit suicide, and they have to investigate, and it's like so good, so good. And very like surprising, because I gave it 4 stars when I was younger, and this time around I gave it 5 stars, like solid 5 stars. I'm kind of chintzy with my 5 stars. Like, I'm not just gonna hand out 5 stars. Like, and then Tell Me the Stories of Jesus, 4.5 stars, nonfiction. So surprising it made the list. Loved this, learning more about Jesus parables and what they mean. Super good, super, super good. Really enjoyed it. So, and my top read of 2023, The Dancing Master by Julie Klassen. I don't think, yeah, like, I can't even talk. So good. I so enjoyed this. I love to dance, and I really like historical fiction, and this one was really well researched, but it wasn't heavy on the historical aspect. And it wasn't super heavy on the romance either. Like, they had a little bit of mystery. Like, it had a good balance of everything in here. It was very relatable. It was really so sweet. Like, the day after I read this, I felt like even more happy because of how everything worked out for the characters. Like, I was like so happy for them. It felt so real. So yeah, just about this guy coming to a town where dancing is like forbidden, and he's like, why? I'm gonna put a change to that. And just all the mysteries unfolding, and good faith content, and really cool story. I loved it. It was nice to see certain characters mature, but even though this girl was immature at the beginning and through a lot of the book, she was likable. She was not annoying. I really liked it. Really liked it. It was beautiful. Yeah, loved it. So, top reads of 2023. So that's it. That is my best reads, worst reads, all my reads, my stats, my goals, everything for 2023, everything for this video. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you guys in the next video. And thank you for being here. So, bye. And have a happy 2024.